Maybe. There we go. Alright. So, growing up with mental illness has been a huge struggle. It's a continuous thing, it's daily, it never stops. Doesn't get tired, doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to eat. And when people tell you just to get over it, or that you're being selfish for wanting to talk, that's not right. And it's been like my mom, whenever I try to bring up the point that I had mental illness, would say I was using it as an excuse. And my family just thought I was being an asshole for me having these things wrong with me. So I have autism, depression, anxiety, split personality disorder, and every year it's amazing that I get by. And yet no one celebrates you on it, no one congratulates you for doing such a good job or for just existing. People just assume that you should be able to do that and that it's not hard. But then, if someone were to have a child, like a sibling or something, everyone, and I mean literally everyone, stops what they're doing and congratulates them. Like, yeah, you brought a new life into the world. It's like, well, that's all well and good. But what about me, you know? Like, I'm still here, I'm still going, and people can find the time to do that for that person, be happy for them. But when it comes to someone just trying to cope with mental illness, then there's no love, there's no respect, there's nothing there. And I try to explain to them I don't have full control over my borderline, my personality disorder. Because that kind of just flares up whenever, or if something were to happen. And my autism, I can't turn that off. I don't use it as a crutch, I don't use it as an excuse to try to get out of a situation. And yet my family always seems to think that I do. When you ask for help, you get some help for a little bit, and then everyone just gets tired of doing it, trying to coexist with you, expects you to change for them to make themselves feel better. So growing up, it's always been the same, always getting yelled at, to the point where I would just run out of wherever I was if I was out with family, sit in an alleyway and literally just cry. People walk by and they would ask me what's wrong, like strangers. People who didn't even know me would try to help, but I couldn't expect that from family because that was asking too much. Having breakfast with my aunt, we'll call her Pat, and she was feeding us oatmeal. I don't like plain oatmeal. I don't like the taste and texture of it. It just makes me feel sick. She was spoon feeding me the oatmeal to the point where I threw up, and she slapped me across the face, and I started crying. I was maybe like 6 or something at the time. Told my mom about that a couple years later, and my mom didn't have anything to say. But people think that I do and behave a certain way because I try to take advantage of a situation. I don't. I just try to explain to them. Maybe I'm not perfect the way you want me to be, but I'm trying. And I'd always get into more trouble for that, to the point where I just wanted the pain to stop. And it's every day with the constant eating away at my soul, wanting the pain to just go away, looking for alternative ways. I haven't resorted to drugs, but I don't want to start doing drugs, stuff like that, and alcohol, but there isn't really anything that really takes my mind off of it. And even when I'm sleeping, I'll wake up and I'm just crying. And like my Aunt Pat, she would tell me that I'm not allowed to be a part of the family, to come to weddings or to ask my sister for help, because I only ever do it because I want something, not that I'm struggling or trying to ask for help to cope or to get myself out of a bad situation. It's just I'm always doing it for something. I want something. But growing up, everyone always expected me to do things for them, to be a punching bag for them. So it was okay then for them to ask a ton out of me, more than I was physically and mentally capable of doing. But when I try to, despite the bad patch we went through growing up, try to reach out, I get shunned. I get pushed around, I get insulted, told I'm a psychopath. Pat will tell me in messages how fucked up I am, that I'm the most fucked up person she's ever met. And I'm just trying to exist with what I have. I told her back that she was dead to me. Growing up with abuse from her, both physical and mental, I'm just done. Then my other aunt, let's call her Abigail. She says she understands my struggle and that everyone needs a friend or a person to talk to. She goes on holiday a lot, and when I reach out for her, she often doesn't respond, but I still wait to see if she will respond. Then one day, I guess I caught her on a bad day when I asked for help, like just someone to talk to, because I felt like ending it. She told me she didn't want me to contact her anymore. She told me to stop contacting her. She didn't want to hear from me again. And I was confused. I was angry. I didn't understand. Because after I contacted her trying to ask if she could talk to me, she was there. I said, I'm at my breaking point. I feel overwhelmed. And then she told me I wasn't loved. She didn't want me. And that I wasn't welcome in her life anymore. It happens with everyone in my family. Pat will often bring up the fact that people keep disowning me from their family. Apparently, I threaten people. Apparently, I just make them uncomfortable. Been like that since I was a kid growing up. I've known people didn't like me and my family. I've been aware of that. There's all this understanding and care and sympathy for someone else who's been a complete psychopath their entire life, beating me up, assaulting me, verbally harassing me, verbally assaulting me, telling me it's okay to hurt me because I'm autistic. There's all such a love and sympathy for that person. And when that person has a child that also has some of the same things I have, There's all the time in the world and patience for that person. But not for me because I'm a lost cause. I don't understand. I just try to live my life. I ask for help, and I haven't really done that growing up as a kid and in high school. I've always been told that if something's wrong with me, I need to fix it. Other people will try for like a day, then they'll give up because it's too much work, but then I'm still expected to change everything about me to make other people comfortable. But I guess psychos and bullies stick together. That's why Pat and my sister are so close. I would get chased around the house with a knife by my sister. She tried to stab me a couple of times, beat me up a couple of times. But then Pat only remembers the times that I've instigated stuff, trying to get her to leave me alone. Being fed up with being harassed and bullied. It's funny how memory works like that. And every time my mom would get fed up with me, she would call the police. They would come because she told them I was threatening them on their life. Had a knife or a weapon on me that I didn't have. Police would come, and just in general, I didn't really talk very much back then. None of this talking onto recording or anything, or even talking to strangers like police. Because I knew the drill. Once they were called, then I was going to get sent to the hospital and locked up, imprisoned, and my rights taken away from me. And that's exactly what happened. They came and they just took me. And then at one point when they came to take me, they didn't even ask me what happened. They just came in and grabbed me out of my bed. They didn't tell me my rights, what was happening, why I was being arrested. I just got taken to the hospital and locked up. Then at night in the hospital, because it was a strange place, I didn't sleep. I was sitting on my bed. One of the nurses came in, got security, held me down, injected me with some kind of liquid, and I slept for 3 days straight. I didn't wake up. I thought when I woke up that I might have died because I couldn't remember anything about the previous days. I didn't remember what happened before I got injected. It felt like I had taken like a 10-minute nap. It wasn't until my roommate in the hospital told me I'd been asleep for a couple days. The nurses had put me into a coma. But there's no justice for that. No one cares. Something you're expected to just carry on with in your life and just be quiet about. You ask to know what kind of medication they're trying to give you at the hospital. And they call security to hold you down and inject you with something that, again, you have no idea what it is. The more you get, but the more you question what it is they're trying to get you to take, the more hostile they become. They don't even answer questions. If they were to do that in any other part of the hospital, you know how quickly they would lose their jobs or be arrested? But because we're considered subhuman in mental health, we're scary to people. They don't understand who or what we are. They think they can get away with torture and that we're not going to stand up and say something about it. Even now, I have supports that are supposed to help me. My case manager, I had to call her and tell her that my mom had died last year. And because since I've had my case manager, my new one, she hasn't bothered to contact me at any point during the month or year. She's supposed to call me every Thursday or a couple of times in a week just to make sure I'm doing all right because of how things were going. I've not received any calls, no texts, nothing to check in, see how I'm doing. And then another person who's supposed to be on my emergency contact list, if I tell them that I'm at my wit's ends, they don't say anything. Even though that's literally what they get paid to do, is to help you with that when you're in your lowest. Or you contact this CHIMO, the suicide hotline crisis people. You tell them this is it. You're done. You can't take any more. You can't push any harder. You're just exhausted. They just repeat to you what you say to them. They parrot what you're saying, reword it a little bit. And it's a bunch of bullshit. Like, Canadian, British Columbian healthcare is a joke for mental health. Like, you try so hard and none of your family cares. You could be homeless, you could be dead in the street somewhere. They wouldn't care, because as far as they're concerned, you brought it on yourself. You chose this life. When you ask for help and you need it the most, you're being aggressive. They don't want you in their lives. They tell you don't contact them for Christmas. Yeah. I don't know what keeps me going, but ever since my mom passed last year, it's been 2 Christmases without her. There's so much pain. You tell your friends about it and they're being, well, uncaring. Either they don't say anything at all about your mom passing, or they'll tell you to just get over it, or that you're being selfish for wanting to talk about it. And I have enough struggle as it is dealing with anxiety, depression, autism, borderline personality disorder. It's hard enough dealing with all this bullshit and then trying to deal with other people's stigmas, misconceptions, ignorance about me. They see me as a one note type of thing, even though I'm more complex than that. So they see the tip of the iceberg, even though there's more beneath it that they don't see that I'm doing. I don't know. I don't want to talk anymore. Thank you for listening, though. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.